Evening to those who are joining us from Europe. Thank you so much for joining me today for our LinkedIn Live. I'm just going to wait another moment just to make sure everybody is coming in okay and that they're able to log in. And then we'll get started. So those of you who are here, if you have a question, please drop it into the chat. This is going to be driven by you, my live audience. So I really want to make sure that I'm answering all of your questions. So pop them into the comment section, and I will go through question by question. And we'll just give it another few moments here for everyone to join in. And then we'll get started. So for those of you who are just joining me now, I just want to mention, please put your comments into the chat and I will make sure that I get those answered. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Nicole East and I am the CEO of Luxe Elite Yachts. So we have had an incredible response to our partnership announcement with Silent Yachts. And what I've found in my thoughtful conversations with these followers of Silent is that these are loyal followers. A lot of them have been following Silent since the beginning, and they have dreamed of owning this type of catamaran. And so what's been very clear from my conversations is that the desire is there, but the right structure was not in place for a lot of these people. So with traditional ownership, there is a massive capital outlay as well as a massive operational commitment. And it's not really about, can I own a yacht? The question really becomes, does it make sense to own it on my own? And so we have created at Luxe Elite co-ownership for a very specific profile. These are clients who value access, but they also value intelligent capital allocation. Owners want the experience, these clients want the experience of ownership, but they don't necessarily want the entire operational friction that comes along with sole ownership. So when we structure co-ownership properly, that's when it becomes a real capital strategy. So that's why we're here today. So I'm going to briefly go through our model, and then I'm going to open it up and go through the questions that are coming in. So if a question arises, again, please pop it into the comments and I will make sure that I get to it today. So our initial program that we are setting up with the Silent 62 is built on a 25% share model. So that means there are a maximum of 4 owners in the vessel. Now, this particular configuration is a 4 cabin with 4 head. We also have a dedicated 2 crew quarters because there is going to be 2 full-time crew that are a part of this program. And this is to ensure that we have a complete turnkey ownership experience. We also provide a dedicated yacht concierge manager, and this manager is responsible for all of our owner communications, as well as transparent reporting to the owners. They are also in charge of the hiring, the training, and of course, the entire oversight of the yacht itself. So, our intention is simplicity. Owners show up and everything else is handled on their behalf by Luxe Elite. So, our initial program is structured in the British Virgin Islands. Now, the term itself is 5 years. At the end of the 5-year period, the yacht will be sold at prevailing market value. Now, while we cannot predict what that future value will be, what this defined exit ensures is that we have a very clear resale strategy. This is not open-ended ownership. So with the ownership, each owner receives 10 weeks annually. And what we do is we actually register the yacht commercially so that if the owner cannot use all of their allocated weeks, they can put those into charter to help offset their ownership costs. So this is about intelligent capital efficiency. It is very structured as well as strategic. Now, with regards to the annual operating costs, they are fully transparent as well as they are all inclusive. So any variable costs that you would have as a co-owner beyond your annual operating costs are going to be, in this case, in the silent offering, would be generator fuel, because that will vary depending on your usage, as well as any owner-specific provisions. So anything like alcohol and all of your food for your trip. But everything is professionally managed on your behalf. So due to the demand that we have had since our partnership announcement, we are also structuring a Mediterranean opportunity. Now, this is going to differ slightly than our Caribbean program, and that's because there will be fewer weeks given the shorter operating window. So we are exploring with our Mediterranean offer a multi-region format. So what I mean by that is, for example, year one, we would look at positioning the yacht into, say, the Greek islands. Then year two, the yacht would be repositioned for that season into Spain. Maybe year three into the French Riviera. So this would allow our owners to really experience different regions while maintaining that structured allocation. So we are still refining this, but interest has been meaningful. So if this is something that interests you, we would love to hear your feedback specifically into the multi-region allocation. So now that I have outlined the structure, I would like to open this up to you, my live audience. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to start to answer. Okay. I'm just going to reset here. Okay, I'm going to pull up some questions as well that we've had pre-submitted. So if anything comes into mind as I'm going through this, please pop it into the comments section and I'm happy to move through those. So the first question we have is, how exactly is the 25% ownership structured legally? Is it an LLC with membership units or another vehicle? So in this case, how we're going to structure the ownership, it is true equity ownership. So the shareholders will purchase into an SPV, that's a special purpose vehicle structure, and they will own physical shares within the yacht. Again, there'll be a maximum of 100% ownership divided into 25% share structure. So the next question, what protections are in place if one owner defaults on operating expenses? So this is an excellent question. When you purchase into the yacht, we also take a 10% value of the share cost and we put that into each owner's specific ledger. Now, these funds are in place for two reasons. So, the first reason is to ensure if there are any corrective items, corrective maintenance items, or emergency funds that need to be deployed outside of regular maintenance, we can then access the funds through the owner's ledgers to ensure that we get the issue resolved immediately. The second reason is exactly for this case. If an owner defaults, we then can pull funds from the owner ledger to make their payments to ensure that they stay up to date. However, when an owner is in default, we have legal protections within our contract. And after a specific amount of time, and it's 90 days, we have legal recourse to start the sales process of that share. And from the sales process, what would be paid out first is any defaults, and then the difference would be paid out to the owner for what we collected from this share purchase. So next question. Frank, sorry, I don't know DYT. Can you please elaborate on that? And I'll just look at this next question while I'm waiting for that response. So, how are the voting rights structured for major decisions? Okay, so this is great. So, when it comes to the ownership group, we put anything, actually, I'm going to do a live example of this. So let's say one of the owners decides we would like to have snorkel gear on board. We think this is going to be a great addition to the yacht, especially for chartering. It's going to provide extreme value. We would then gather the cost. What is that going to be in order to put this onto the yacht? What would the purchase cost be? We bring that to the ownership group. Now the ownership group has a vote and majority rules. So if 75% say yes, we proceed with the purchase of the snorkel gear. Now, if we are at a tie and it's a 50-50, then us as the manager group will make the final call based on the value it's going to provide overall to the group, ownership group, as well as the commercial charter. So we are always thinking in the best interest of the owners. Okay, so Frank, the yacht would be delivered to the Med. Yes. So the Silent Yachts are manufactured in Italy. So we would have the yacht, it would just actually be there, and we would position it into its first regional location based on what we decide on our multi-region format for this program. So the next question, how is usage priority structured among owners to ensure fairness? So that's a great question. So how our scheduling works is we have this set up on a very fair and equitable system. So each owner will have access to choosing prime weeks very fairly. So year one, the first owner who has purchased into the yacht will have their first selection. They will choose 2 weeks. Then the second owner who purchased in would choose their 2 weeks, and then this would continue until all weeks are chosen. Then, year two, the second owner who purchased in would have the first choice of their 2 weeks. So this ensures for a prime season week, like for example, Christmas in the Caribbean, every owner will get an opportunity to have that prime week. Okay, next question. How do you see the structure evolving beyond a single asset model into a broader fleet or platform strategy? So great question. So where I would like to see this move to and evolve over time is we would love to see similar yachts in different regions within our Luxe Elite fleet. And we could potentially offer things like trading amongst the ownership group. So in this case, a good example would be we have a Silent 62 in the Mediterranean, we've got a Silent 62 in the Caribbean, and owners who would like to maybe give up a prime week in the Caribbean and owners giving up a prime week in the Mediterranean could swap. So this is how I truly see this evolving as our fleet grows over time. Okay, so next question. What happens if an owner wants to exit before the 5-year term? So because this is true ownership, you are not locked in. At any time, you can sell your share. So you would sell that for prevailing market value, knowing there's an ownership term left, and again, predicting at that time what that future share value will be at the end of the ownership term. Now, we at Luxe Elite are happy to help you sell your share. We, of course, have a network of interested co-owner buyers who we would present that to first, but you are also able to sell that privately, or you can also sell that through a broker of your choice. So how are the annual operating budgets determined and approved? So how we present our operating budgets is based on the current value of the expenses today. So for example, where is the yacht going to be moored? What is the cost of those marine fees? What is the current value of the insurance cost based on the commercial structuring? We have a defined budget, and then we refine that budget annually. We have an annual general meeting where we meet with the ownership group, and then any cost changes due to rising costs within the market, we present that budget to the ownership group. And then, of course, all of that is approved by the group itself. And we can go over any additional items at that time, such as, additions to the yacht, new towels, new uniforms for the crew, things like that. So the next question is, how transparent is the reporting around expenses and charter revenue? So as I had mentioned earlier, we are extremely transparent. We work for you, the ownership group. So our concierge manager, we prepare all of the reporting on a quarterly basis, and all of that is sent to our owners, as well as our charter revenue is presented in the same way. We offset any ownership expenses with charter revenue first, and then if there's a surplus, we then issue a payment to the owner at that time. Okay, next question. So, what are the realistic expectations for cost offset through charter? So, this is a great question. So, while we can't guarantee what our charter rates will be, what I can tell you is there is a lot of meaningful interest in chartering a silent yacht. So, depending on the program, depending on the region, and of course, depending on the yacht itself, this can fluctuate and due to market demand as well. So we can definitely provide performas, but we like to provide that on a very conservative rate. Okay. What we like to look at is the comparison over the 5-year ownership term. And if we're looking at a conservative rate, how does that offset in regards to a total cost of ownership? So what I mean by that is share cost plus ownership expenses, operating expenses, minus potential charter income, and then minus potential resale value. What is that going to cost you over the 5-year term? And then how do we compare that to chartering a similar vessel over the 5-year term? And you'd be surprised, even with conservative rates, we quite often see a break-even point of about 2 weeks of usage annually. So that means if you're a co-owner and you're using the yacht 2 weeks a year, it could end up being the same exact cost you're paying for charter, but you've got the benefits of being an owner. Okay, some of this we've covered. Okay, this is a good one. What level of customization can owners expect for provisioning an itinerary? So because you have a dedicated yacht concierge manager, we customize absolutely everything on your behalf. So as the owner, we are touching base with you before your upcoming usage time. We are checking in with you. Where are you wanting to visit? We're ensuring that all of your marine bookings are done on your behalf. We've got your chef is getting ready with your preferred menu items. The captain and crew are fully prepared for your preferences. So this is fully customizational to whatever level you would like us to handle. Now, if you prefer coming on board and just being on an adventure and seeing what comes through, that is also fine. The captain can work with you on board at that time. Okay, are owners required to charter, or is it entirely optional? So in the case of our first program with Silent, the Caribbean program, this will be commercially registered. However, as an owner, if you do not want to charter the time, any of the times that you have allocated for your usage, that is completely optional. So you are not required, but understanding that if you don't want the yacht chartered at all, this is the type of thing we would have in our thoughtful discussions privately. And there may be other owners who are after the same goals. And we would then structure a separate program that is specific to personal use and not commercially registered. Okay. So, who manages all of the crew hiring, training, and performance oversight? So, this is done with our concierge manager. So, our concierge manager works they secure the proper fit of a captain for the particular vessel. Then they work with the captain in ensuring and hiring the appropriate crew for this particular program. They will then train, and of course, they're going to oversee all performance and make sure that there's a communication between the captain and the crew and the ownership manager, or sorry, the concierge manager. The concierge manager is the owner's main point of contact. So any communications through the owners to the manager will be handled that way as well. And this is for simplicity, to ensure that our owners have one point of communication at all times. Okay, another good question. Are the owners permitted to exchange weeks among themselves or roll unused time forward? So, great question, Michelle. Absolutely, our owners can exchange between themselves. In fact, this is extremely common. Just because you pick your first 2 weeks, the other weeks you may decide to allocate into charter because you're not able to use them all. If another owner may want one of those weeks and there's not a booked charter that has come through yet, that is a perfect opportunity to swap between each other. So again, this would all be handled directly through your concierge manager. And in regards to rolling over the unused time, unfortunately, no, this would not roll forward into future years. So your 10 weeks of allocation, you're going to either want to use that yourself or allocate it into chartering. Okay, well, we're just about to wrap things up here. So I want to leave you all with this. Structured co-ownership is not just about dividing the yacht. This is truly about aligning access, capital, and operations intelligently. Because when co-ownership is designed properly, this preserves capital and eliminates operational complexity. And this is the entire intention behind the Luxe Elite model. So for those of you who are actively evaluating ownership within the Silent 62, we are continuing our structured discussions ahead of the Palm Beach International Boat Show, which is at the end of March. The Silent 3-Deck Open will be available for viewing in person. So if alignment makes sense, we can coordinate privately in advance of the show. So I will drop my Calendly link into the comments. If there is not a time available, please reach out to me directly and I can coordinate with my schedule. So I truly appreciate the level of engagement today and the quality of questions that have come through. This community thinks very thoughtfully about ownership, and this is exactly who our structure is built for. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.